Hi, shalom, friends. When I was growing up, I was introduced to two games, checkers and chess. Checkers, they told me the rules and the objective. The objective is to bring as many pieces from one side to the other, and the rules were very simple. You're only allowed to move one box at a time, one step at a time. You should try to avoid getting boxed in. You could only go one direction. And if you are boxed in, see if you could jump over the opponent. I like that. Then they showed me a chess, and they said there are a lot of different pieces, which basically means that you could be going in many different directions. And you don't only have to go one step at a time. You could actually go and move many steps at a time. And the objective is actually to outthink your opponent. But don't do it step by step. You have to imagine what will your opponent do, and then think 2, 3, or even 4 steps ahead. And how would you counter that? That's very complicated for a guy like me. And I confess, I picked checkers always over chess. So that was when I was young. Now that I'm celebrating the birth of grandchildren, thank God, I realize that actually life has these two types of personalities. The chess personality, the checker personality. The personality that enjoys checkers is a person that he's methodical, predictable. He has an objective. He takes one step at a time, one day at a time, tries not to get boxed in. And if there's an obstacle, he tries to go over it. He's not outthinking the future, and he's not regretting the past. Each day is another opportunity for him to do what he wants to do, what he feels is right to do. And then there are those chess people who go in many different directions. They're capable of changing a job, a career, a wife, a passion, a hobby. They could go ahead, they could go back. They're also very creative at times. They could see the future 3 generations from now. They know the next big thing. But they're also people that can often box themselves into, because of the future, they can't do something now. And they find it difficult to actually appreciate the here and the immediate. What happens when checkers marries chess? Well, in a small Ukrainian village, there lived a very poor couple that were fortunate. They had a plot of land where they lived, and they had a vegetable garden which they were nourished from, and they were blessed with 2 goats. And they were very frugal. So after they took of their necessities, there was always a little bit extra milk, a little bit extra vegetables, which they took to the market, and for a mere pittance, they were able to sell it. As the coins begin to accumulate, Anna says to Anton, you know, our house doesn't have that much color. Maybe we should splurge, buy some colored cloth, and put it on the table. We'll have a tablecloth, but it would add so much. And Anton looks at his wife, he says, no. That's thinking small. We're going to continue saving this money. And what will we do with it, you might think? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll buy a cow. The cow will give us much more milk, and we'll make much more cheese than is necessary for ourselves. We'll be able to sell so much more in the market, and we'll have so much more money. And Anna says, well, I suppose to postpone the colored cloth for a cow makes sense. But after we sell all of that milk and cheese, will I then be able to use the money for the colored cloth? And he says, no, silly. Why do we have to stop at something so small? What we'll do is we'll have so much money that what we'll do is we'll actually buy a horse. And she says, a horse? what are we going to do with a horse? He said, a horse will rent out. There are people that have to go on journeys. They need a horse. A horse can be harnessed to a wagon. There's many opportunities for us to make some money. So we'll be actually bringing in much more income that we could both imagine right now. She's very excited. Well, if we have already a horse, we'll be able to buy not only cloth, we'll be able to buy maybe even chairs and maybe even curtains. And he says, no. There are much more important things to do. With the money, we'll buy a buggy or a wagon. And she looks and says, what would we do with the wagon? He said, finally, we'll be able to travel. In fact, imagine, close your eyes, imagine yourself on your own horse and buggy, and you're visiting your mother who lives some 30 miles away. Wouldn't that be beautiful and wonderful? Now it's only a pipe dream. She closes her eyes, tries to imagine sitting on the horse and the buggy, feeling the fresh air, feeling wonderful that it's hers. And as she's enjoying this reverie, suddenly Anton shouts at her, "You ingrate, you selfish person!" She opens up her eyes and her, what happened? And he's very enraged. Anton, why are you so upset with me? You took the horse and buggy to visit your mother. You didn't even tell me. See, that's a chess player. It's great to imagine yourself expanding from a goat to a horse and buggy. But it's also possible to get caught up with that conclusion of you took it without my permission. Okay, you're saying that's a fable. So I want to tell you a story that happened with me years ago when I, the checker player, was talking to a wonderful, holy, beautiful parent who was a chess player. We were talking about their little Baruch, I don't know the name, I'm making up the name, but the little Baruch, who was, I think, turning 6 or 7, I forget, and I suggested that they send little Baruch to a yeshiva day school, first grade. And I was prepared to counter the argument that it's too expensive, or I was prepared to counter the argument that the kid wouldn't fit in. I had done my homework. But what I was not prepared for was the response, "Rabbi, thank you very much, we're not interested." I said, "Why not?" He said, "I don't want Baruch to be a rabbi." And I was like, what? We're talking about a first grader. We're talking about an environment where he'll play and study, and he'll be in a protected environment. The people that are sending their kids to the yeshiva have exactly the same values like you have. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I'll tell you, he didn't say this, but I can imagine his wheels turning. First grade will go to second grade to fourth grade to fifth grade. By that time, he's not going to go to a middle school. He has no friends. So he's going to graduate from this Hebrew day school. He's going to have to follow his friends. By this time, he's going to be very religious. So he's going to yeshiva high school. Well, 4 years later, I know I'm going to want him to go to college, but he's going to say, I want to go to Israel for a year. And I know when he goes to Israel for a year, he's not going to be touring. No, he's going to go to one of these yeshivas. And I know that after the year, he's going to call me up and say, I don't want to come home. I want another 2 years. And then I know that what he's going to do is he's going to want to become a rabbi. And I also know that he's not going to get a lot of money, so I'll have to support him. I don't want that. That, my friends, is a chess player. Silly, right? Well, how many of us fall into that category? The rabbi invites you for a Shabbos meal, and your response is, not a good idea. Why? I might fall in love with Shabbos. I might think that Friday night is a good thing to do. Well, I don't want to give up my movie night. So I guess let me avoid enjoying Friday night in a holy place. Someone asks you to put on tefillin. You say, oh no. Why? I'm not religious. Okay. Is it possible for a non-religious person to put on tefillin at least once? No, because I know what's going to happen. I'll put on tefillin once, and then the next time you're going to say, could you do it again? You did it last time. And then if I do it again next time, you're soon going to ask me to come to a class. And then when I come to a class, you're going to say, hey, why not be a supporter? Well, I don't want to be a contributor. A chess player. You know, people that don't play chess can appreciate people that do. Sometimes you walk and you see people just observing two chess players. But they themselves, they're checker players. So my friend, chess is good. It's wonderful. It's mind expanding. But there is a lot to be said for playing checkers. One day, one mitzvah, one opportunity, one direction. Don't get boxed in. But if you do, know that God has given you the ability to jump over it. Shalom.